So Chip,
what up?
Welcome to my garage.
Cheers.
Man. We're cheers to you. Well, let's start with that. I like this. Before we even get started with the interview, we're going. Oh, that's great. This would be more fun in person, but obviously we're living in what I'm calling unprecedented times. I came up with that phrase. You are in Minneapolis, correct? You're Minnesota. Whereabouts are you?
Yeah, I'm in Minneapolis, St. Paul. More accurately, I'm on the St. Paul side. I'm on the east side of the river.
Okay, right on. There's some great breweries up there. Can you give us kind of a quick thumbnail sketch of if we bring the show to Minneapolis? Where should we go first?
Yeah, it's gotten pretty intense in the last 5-10 years, but I would
There's
say...
There's probably 500 breweries. So okay, Black Stack. Yeah?
Black Stack, that's in St. Paul. Barrel Theory's in St. Paul. Surly's, like, right on the line. Minneapolis, St. Paul. Summit Brewing Company is, like, 1986, so, like, kind of our oldest of that new generation of microbreweries from the 80s. But then there's Shell's Brewery down in New Ulm, which is kind of like, they've been around since 1830, 40, 50. I mean, they're like pre-Civil War lager brewery. But then over Minneapolis, you just have tons of tap rooms. You could basically do a 2-mile radius and hit places like Indeed, Bauhaus, Dangerous Man. I mean, it's pretty overwhelming.
It sounds like, and maybe I'm picking up on a vibe here, but it sounds like you're inviting us to come there and check out the breweries in Minneapolis.
It's got a basement.
All right, we got this on tape. He's invited us over to Minneapolis, St. Paul. What brought you up there?
My wife and I most recently lived in Austin, Texas, and it was partly for work. It was an easy transfer to make I worked at a TV station in Austin that was a sister TV station here. But it ended up being a twist in fate. Just because I came up here for TV, and then I ended up taking those TV skills and homebrewing, which I had already done in Austin, and really started this chain of events that has led me to being interviewed for doing a homebrewing show. But yeah, that opened the door to go from being like a line producer at a TV station to suddenly mixing my home hobby and my work career, and now I was making homebrew videos and getting paid for it. It was absolutely bonkers.
Walk me through how you start as a home brewer. Give me the origin story here of Chip, the home brewer.
I actually got into it because I did a field piece for the TV station I worked at in Austin. We did like a month-long series of like beer-related stories. So we did like the microbrewery and then the tap room, and then the end of the month I was like, oh, we should really do one on home brewing. So a photographer and I basically rode shotgun on a brew day with a guy making extract beer in his kitchen, and I was just blown away.
You start from your TV experience, you fall into home brewing. At what point do you connect the dots and say, well, why don't I bring the TV into the home brewing? I mean, it's kind of a weird loop with you, isn't it?
I was just taking a random warehouse tour of Northern Brewer because a friend of mine worked there in like facilities, essentially their facilities department, meaning he was their one facility guy. And I met Jake Keeler, who at the time was, I don't know, chief operations officer. He would ultimately become like the marketing director and the guy who I would co-create Brewing TV, the web show that Northern Brewer used to put on. So it was really just the luck of running into someone. And then Jake was like, we're looking for someone to work part-time to maybe do some DVDs that come with the starter kit, because a couple of our competitors at that time, or their competitors at that time, were doing stuff like that. And they're like, we really need DVDs and we need videos on YouTube. But we had this weird tertiary idea, something like a web show that celebrates the community, as we always call it, the why, not the how. And that ended up becoming Brewing TV.
I love how you say it's the why and not the how, because that's something we learned pretty early on this show. The first show we did was, okay, we went to Bent River and did the how is beer made, and that was neat. And then by show 2, we realized, well, we've already told that story. We need to know, the story of why you're doing this and not how is more important. And that's the great thing about craft beer is it's all about stories. Why you enjoy what you enjoy. When you bring a 6-pack over to a party, you should be able to tell the story of like, this is how I found this. This is why this brewery means something to me.
Yeah, and still even now with like Chop and Brew, I think because it ultimately always becomes about the how. You don't really have to frame it that way.
I want to ask you about Chop and Brew. What is Chop and Brew?
So Chop and Brew is a web show about home brewing and craft beer and cooking. It's essentially when I and the two other guys that co-produced Brewed TV, we all kind of departed from Northern Brewer around the same time, over like a 6-month window. When I left, I just, there was this fan base that we had built up. It wasn't clear that Northern Brewer was going to keep doing Brewed TV at all, so I was just like, well, I want to carry the torch. It's basically just a web show about home brewing, but it's also about smoked meats and making pie crust from scratch. One thing that Brewing TV never really did, it didn't really dabble in food because its mission was to essentially promote home brewing and stealthily promote all things Northern Brewer,
right.
Ingredients, equipment. With Chop and Brew, I'm not really beholden to anybody, so we've done a lot of food, but it's been amazing. I've been doing it for 6 years. We've gone to Ireland once. We went to Norway last fall. Went to Nashville. It's a creative outlet for me to express my love for like these hobbies in a way that right now is just a passion project, I would say. Whereas it used to be part of an expectation of my day job.
You're still home brewing, right?
Yeah, I brew. I like to say that I shoot video of more brews than I actually brew, which is true.
I'm really glad you made time for us to visit. And next time, let's do this in person. And I'm going to hold you to that basement. We're gonna crash there, and you're going to show us your St. Paul.
Okay, or we're going to come to Anthony's house. We're going to brew, and I'll do an episode. We'll do a crossover event.
I like that. It's like a Marvel DC thing happening there. That's fantastic. Chip, thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, man. Cheers to you guys. Thanks for holding the torch for good beer in the Quad Cities.